And I feel like that's 60% of improv is just boldly jumping into
Totally.
something.
Put a bookmark in that.
Yeah.
We're going to do top 3 nonfiction comedy improvement books.
Is it possible? Is it possible to improve on perfection? Man's dead.
Welcome to the Dueling Beardos Comedy Podcast.
Cool. Hey, welcome to the Dueling Beardos podcast.
Yeah, and I like your swingers welcome t-shirt button up. I love it. Pineapple.
Yeah. Dude, this thing, it's like a bowling shirt.
Oh, I love it. Hey, can we get a
style.
suggestion? Bjorn's shirt. Thank you. I heard Bjorn's shirt.
I heard Bjorn's shirt. That's
what I was going to
That's
say.
a reference to pineapple being like a suggested. That's such a weird. Why is it always a suggested thing? And
I don't know why.
because it's an apple
Oh,
from a pine tree.
Yeah, because it's just it's a hybrid of it's a couple ideas.
Yeah, and
It's pine tree and
it's lazy
apple.
naming, honestly.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Pineapple.
What
And
are
it's-
2 things that already exist?
Yeah,
Let's
and
just-
it's 3 words, which speaks to the narcissism of audience members, where they're like, if I'm going to have a chance to talk before this theater scat, I'm going to say a 3-syllable word. I won't say, fish, because then my spotlight's over. I don't know why I'm casting this negative
It's kinda
narcissistic
like-
attitude on this audience member. That's not
I feel
nice.
like every improv 101, you're like, it's like someone's at the store. It's always like there's like a few like scenes that are always the same.
Yeah.
What was your go-to? Like, did you have? I had a go-to.
A go-to
Like initiation.
initiation? Yeah, hugging the wall. That was my initiation. Oh,
Not
2 other people went
participating.
out there. Whoosh.
Waiting for somebody else to
Yeah.
make an initiation.
I'll just build up the pressure and wait through. So I have to, if I come in on scene 3, I'm going to have to really do it up. Yeah, really bring it. It was hard for me to get out there.
Really?
But so
But did you have a see? What made it easier for me is I would just always do the same thing.
Oh, yeah, I would typically, just in life, I'll make space for someone to initiate a conversation.
And then you'd be the second.
Yeah, I would just make sure to make eye contact and do. I think I'd come out and do a nonverbal space work activity, like maybe polishing a glass, or like even like maybe, well, phones weren't scrollable as often back then. Some space work thing toward the audience, looking at my partner for them to initiate the line, because I'm typically the least vocal in a group of friends, so I employed that same practice on stage, where I'll do a nonverbal thing. The other person will say the first line, and I'll do my best to build on that. That was my initiation. What was yours? Are you able to say your initiation in less than 15 sentences like I was?
Yeah. I would always pull up a chair
Ooh.
and pretend I was at dinner.
Oh, cool.
I would pull up 2 chairs, and there would be an empty chair, and there was a few times that I had to do a scene by myself at dinner with an empty chair.
Oh my God! No one got out there.
But
Punks.
dude, actually, some of my best improv was done alone.
Oh, I love it.
Where I mean, it's like the feeling of sitting alone that informs the scene.
Yeah, it does say it answers a lot of questions.
Where,
Yeah.
like someone would come in as a waiter, and it would just be like so much sadder. Like, sir, if you're gonna be here,
Oh
you
my
need
God,
to order
yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And then the game would end up being like this lonely guy.
Yeah.
And like the wackadoodle characters coming through.
Oh yeah, that's fun. You
know.
get to, and that's so cool. I like that.
Like it usually was a safe bet to just kind of like start doing a scene to nobody, and someone would usually jump into that.
Yeah, that's good.
There was a couple times nobody did.
Yeah.
And then there's enough beats happen that then that now is the thing that's happening is
Yeah.
I'm doing a scene alone.
Yeah. That's fun.
I don't know. That's one of the beautiful things with improv sometimes. It's like when stuff like a good improviser, you know. I think I got mad and I just followed that anger. Like I started practice one time because it happened multiple times. One time I started practicing a breakup, and that really Because then the scene ended with the person showing up.
Yeah.
It was like all by
that's a
myself.
great button.
And then literally
Yeah,
someone
boom.
like sat down and I was like, hi, Carol. And then it was like, and then someone swept in.
Yeah.
I was like,
oh, wasn't that beautiful?
oh, that guy practicing his breakup
Yeah.
speech. And then,
Oh, yeah.
and I had given a name
Brilliant.
and everything. Like I had kind of seen pimped the chair.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This is not an episode to talk about improv.
No, but that would be fun that's a fun improv exercise where it's like we're going to go over all the types of scenes and it's going to be a person pulling up 2 chairs, sitting at a table alone, and we're going to do this as a blackout. We're going to do it as a monologue scene. We're going to do it as a partner scene. Someone get out there right away with Bjorn. That would be a cool, like, the who, what, where, when. The what, the where is done. Bjorn's sitting alone at a table at a restaurant. Let's try a blackout scene. So someone comes in and one line blackout. And then it's like 2-person scene, push relationship, go. Or like Bjorn monologue, go. Or revolving door. Yeah. That's so cool. I like that. That if anyone's listening and teaches improv.
Well, I found improv to be a lot easier when I just picked like 2 or 3 good initiations.
Yeah.
And just went with that. And then usually it would just, like I was just saying, it would come
That's
out
brilliant.
with, there's like, these are going to be, fuck it, top, we just throw away what we were going to do.
Throw it away.
Top 3 improv tips.
Yeah.
1, they're like the best way to get the most out of an improv class is to always try things first. So barely understanding the game.
Oh, yeah.
Be the one that goes and messes up. Like
a
lot.
Oh, I like that.
Like I would always be the first person to, even though it was so far outside my comfort zone, I would push myself. I was like, I'm already at the class. I'm gonna.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
everyone kind of
Use
holds
the
back
time.
and
Sure.
they're like, I want to watch a couple people do it.
Right.
And then nail it. And
Right.
I'm like, I'm gonna go be an idiot.
I love that.
And
yeah.
I feel like I got the most out of classes because of that.
I'll
because
bet you
I got a
did.
lot of direction where they're like, no. Bjorn, you didn't understand the game at all. I was like, yeah, I didn't. I just jumped in as soon as you said I need and I just jumped in. Like,
Yeah.
You know?
And I feel like that's 60% of improv is just boldly jumping into
Totally,
something, if not
totally.
more. Yeah. So you had that down. That's good.
And that was just so hard. It was hard. It was really, really hard for me to do that.
Yeah.
And then it did get easier and it really helped. Anyways.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But we should do that as a different episode.
Yeah, we
We
should.
can talk
All
about
right.
improv, maybe like a improv once we're out of stand-up stuff,
Yeah, which will be never.
which will be never.
We're lifers.
We could do this forever. I'm going to just I guess welcome to the show. This is Dueling Beardos,
the podcast.
I'm Bjorn RG,
And I'm Todd Basil.
and we are 10 minutes in, and we just introed the podcast. I love it.
That's
it.
fine.
This is how
Lead in.
we
It's
go.
like a cast, like
Yeah.
a fishing cast. For 10 minutes and then. Oh, that was beautiful. That was really good.
I like that. We're both like, you forgot the thing.
Yeah.
The cast was really good. You got the buzz in there.
That was good, yeah.
Was that a rolled R?
I know I'm fluent in Spanish now. Yeah.
So I made this suggestion because I don't know about you when I first started and currently, and I am. This is not a brag. I like to read. And I discovered that late in life, I became more of a reader, or identified more as a reader later in life when I was done with school. And then I was done with school, then I got a job. And then once I got the job dialed in, I was really hungry for something new.
Yes.
Because you go from school to work and then it's like, wait, you just do this? That's it? There isn't it's not building on the concepts to the next thing.
No learning, less learning is happening.
I think
in
a lot of
jobs.
people like that. And
I
hated it.
I get stale with that. I get bored with that.
It might be an ADD thing, but
it could be. Yeah. I relate to that a lot because I'm in school now. Like I teach math and I will work on problems every once in a while when I don't know how to do one or someone comes up with a different way to do it. So that is feeding my need to learn and do things in focus. So I have not been reading books successfully, meaning finishing them, finding ones I'm into. But I totally get that. Once you're in a job where it's less about learning and more about the doing and you got control of it, and you seek that.
I just was like looking to learn more. And And then so I found book, and whenever I pick up something, I kind of developed this thing where it's like, oh, I'll like read books on that. And the cool thing is that I found is there was less pressure to like finish a book or read at a certain pace. I can kind of like read or reread things if I don't understand it. And it just kind of like, for me, it's about short sections. I love books with short sections.
That is fun.
And I will read them over the course of however long it takes me to read them, you know? I try to read every day, but, you know, whatever. It doesn't always happen. But I feel better when I'm reading. And even like I was just flipping through some of these books, and honestly, some of the ones that we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk about books, comedy books specifically.
Ever smelled them?
Ever smell? Oh, yeah, that's right.
I'm into smelling books, and that's been coming up a couple times. People have saying like the smell. I'm like, yes, I'm part of that club.
I mean, it is a whole thing.
Yeah.
But I went down a thing of reading every single comedy, like nonfiction comedy book, like. Books about comedy or stand-up comedy. I mean, I went deep in it. And I can say that some of those are not worth the time. Yeah,
some of them are, I would say, what do you think? Superficial, surface level?
I'm talking about getting into like philosophy of humor.
Oh, yeah.
Of like on a neurological level.
Wow.
Like why. I went hard into it, and some of those I will admit I did not finish reading because they are dense.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's like music theory versus just picking up an instrument
comedy
and farting
theater.
around.
Yeah. Like I really did a deep dive, and there isn't. I don't know if it's necessary or not, but I just anyway. I read a lot.
Yeah, I got deep too. I have several books on stand up, but then at some point I found a suggested reading list for Second City, and it was like 30 plus books. I'm like, I'm going through this list. And of course, really? I didn't make it through the list, but there was a History of Second City book, another book, and there was good stuff in there. But yeah, I went deep too, where I'm like, all these books, I got to consume everything.
To speak to your not finishing books thing.
Right. Me too.
Let's put a pin in that, because I have something that we can talk about with all these books, because I had this experience today.
Let's put a bookmark in that.
All right. I like that. Put a bookmark in that.
Yeah.
We're going to do top 3 nonfiction, or I put comedy improvement books.
Comedy improvement books. I like that.
I was thinking like self-help, but that's fine.
Self-help.
As I said it out loud, I thought of that too. All right.
So we're doing the 3 that are directly related to stand-up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Though I kind of found one of mine is kind of like a little in the adjacent side, but then I was
juicy.
I was going through it, and it's definitely in the right thing. So,
dude, you got Bobby Oliver over there? Holy shit, dude.
Yeah. So my number 1
I love this.
is the
What up, Bobby?
Tao of Comedy, Embrace the Pause.
Oh, that's a great title, yeah.
Bobby Oliver.
Nice.
Cool artwork on the front. I mean, like, I've got, this thing is marked up. I've read through this a handful of times.
Yeah.
Like, I read it, I've read it very, very many times.
Yeah, it's funny, because I was looking through my books as well to which ones I'm going to pick, and I love these books. A lot of books are like this. You highlight stuff you like the first time you read it. Then you go back through, 6 months or years later, you find different stuff that resonates. I'm finding even different stuff now that resonates. Yeah, it's fun to go back through.
I heard or read, I don't know where it came into my brain, but somehow came into my brain. You've got to truly digest a book, especially something like this, 3 times.
Oh, cool. I like that.
It takes three passes to really consume all of it. So, and then what we're going to do is there is a lot of great concepts in this, but we're just going to highlight one from each, since we're doing 3 different books.
Perfect. Yeah, I have a general takeaway from the book and a specific passage readable from each book, but we can get as much detail as you want on it or not any.
I would say to anyone that is going to check out this book, this is, I think, the best cohesive comedy book that I read. Brilliant. After reading every single one I could get my hands on.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, it resonated with me personally because there's a lot of stuff about meditation.
Oh, yeah.
And self-reflection, and how comedy is an exploration of the self,
Yeah.
and finding your voice is an exploration of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I found this book in a formative year of like just coming out kind of thing. So it really
cool.
and having a lot of anxiety and finding meditation around the same time. And then I found this book, was like, whoa. And it uses a lot of Eastern philosophy.
That's awesome.
In it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this thing is a self-published kind of situation, but
Yeah.
it's really good. It's on Amazon.
All right, cool. Yeah. Yeah. Bobby's pretty entrepreneurial.
And then I never met her, but I knew some people that like took her classes and stuff in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, I wasn't able to actually make it. Like, she had an open mic that she always used to do.
Yeah.
I used to have the card that had the open mic.
Cool. I love that.
From the Tao of Comedy Studio or whatever, where
Yeah.
she taught her class. And I really wanted to go, but I was kind of too scared
Yeah.
or whatever.
Some of these books are awesome and older, where it's, I don't know about that one, but some of them in the back, it's like, mailing addresses to comedy clubs, and it's like,
there's
Al's Chuckle Barn, but that place has been gone for like 30
so
years.
long. Yeah, and so like some of this stuff, I think with like the writing elements and like those are going to be timeless.
Yeah,
like, those are always
sure.
going to, and the finding your voice and stage fright and some of that stuff.
Right.
But like, I don't know, maybe like how to hold a microphone might not be the same, because soon we might be just, I don't know, like clicking on a
Just tap your temple.
like tap our temple,
Yeah.
and tap into the Bluetooth of the stereo system.
Whoa, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's
now.
that's not fun at
Eventually
all.
in film, the anxiety speaker shot you'll still hear the feedback, but there won't be any microphones. It'll just be like,
Yeah.
and it'll
Or
be coming
just,
from
you
your
just
little.
ping your brain to the, you just connect to the Bluetooth.
Yeah, I look forward to checking that book out. Two things that fire me up about a comedy book is, are there actionable exercises? I want to do stuff. And are there specific quotes and examples from comics? Because seeing those is timeless. Like, oh, look how they structured that. Look how short that is, or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, I guess I didn't cover my takeaway from
Yeah,
this one.
I want to hear it.
Is accepting fear and working with it.
Oh, nice.
So the excerpt, I'm just going to read it because it really embodied the whole thing that I... accepting fear and working with it gives you a silent power in your comedy and life. Running from fear takes away your power. So the big thing for me was like realizing, there's a bunch of examples about this of like, oh, fear is a energy. It is a thing.
Yeah.
It's it is an energy, and you can use it to be scared, or you can use it for your performance. It's kind of like, and then when I didn't have any fear, sometimes my performance would fall flat because I didn't have any fear, and coming to that realization that I needed it.
Yeah.
And that I got from this book. I realized by reading it recently.
That's awesome. Oh, you did a full read through again recently, or?
I made it through most of it, and
That's
then it started
awesome.
like talking about industry stuff, and I was like, the industry stuff at the end of most of these books is kind of not applicable anymore.
Yeah. It's changing.
and some of it's in there, but yeah. And okay, my number 2 book.
All right.
It's such a corny one.
All
It's
right.
Greg
Perfect.
Dean's Step by Step to stand-up comedy. This book it's okay. It's corny, but I got a lot out of it. It's got some good writing exercises, things like that.
Perfect.
Like finding there's 2 concepts I have to highlight. The first one is it really does a great job of how to diagram. It talks about how to diagram jokes.
Oh, you just sold me. I would love to
like
see
almost
that.
from like a math standpoint, and talks about how, so I mean, literally all you really would need to read is maybe the first 2 chapters of this, and you can get, I mean, the rest of it, but like I think you'd get the most out of just like the first 2 chapters.
Brilliant.
And that's kind of what I was when I said put a bookmark in it. Some of these, it's okay if you only read the first couple, because it's like, all this is like industry stuff, like how to get booked, and that doesn't really matter as much anymore. But the joke writing part is great. So the concept is there's 2 stories happening simultaneously, and it's about leading people to think you're on this story, and then the punchline is a jump to actually you were telling this story the whole time.
Oh, fun. Okay.
That's the whole thing. So
cool.
There was I was trying to think of an example. I have some examples, but the one I thought of was pretty inappropriate of my own. Okay, so here's a good one. My friend just ran away with my wife just ran away with my best friend. Boy, do I miss him. So the first story is you think, oh, I'm sad that he misses his wife.
Right.
But the actual story is he misses his best friend.
Yeah. Nice.
So it's like that's how you get a good misdirection and a good like zig and zag. And
I like that.
It diagrammed it in a way that I really enjoyed, and I think you would actually get a lot of that. And like last night, I think David read this, and I think these are his bookmarks because we used to live together.
Oh, cool.
And I think David applied this concept to a lot. His jokes are like that.
Right on.
Where it's like you think he's saying this, and then really he's saying this.
Yeah.
Like, and just that jump, and it is funny, and it's just like a pretty basic. And I think it's good if you're starting out and you're just floundering like I was, trying to figure out how to write or formulate a joke.
Totally. If you're sitting in front of a blank page, it's like, where do I start?
Yeah, and you can just put like, okay, what's something from my life or whatever, and then just kind of like Mad Lib it into a joke.
Yeah.
And this is a great way to do that.
Yeah.
The other concept from this one that's a big one is the two selves. So there's the critic and the the critic and the creative.
Separate that.
And it has all these techniques, and I remember actually doing some of them, and I need to revisit this, actually. It talks about how, like, in the spaces that you write, never, like, use that same space or that same chair.
Oh, physical space,
To also, when you are, like, reviewing your set. So, like, if you're, like, listening to it, find a space that's just for when you're being critical.
I love that.
And then finding a space when you're just being creative.
Yeah.
And because it helps you unlock those different aspects, and then realizing that sometimes you need to be in this space, sometimes you need to be in this space.
Yeah.
And separating the two is really important.
Like this space, this room has such a creative feel. I feel like a lot of great stuff has been and will be created here. And then you have a work desk outside of this room where you're probably more in editor mode, critic mode rather than creative.
So it would be
mode.
bad for me to edit here.
Yeah.
Is kind of what, like, edit the podcast. It's like create the podcast here and then edit it on the other desk.
Yeah, I like that.
And like moving physical space helps us on like a deep level subconsciously.
That's awesome.
And that concept is from this. And it's in a thing for like rehearsing your jokes, like never rehearse your jokes. I don't remember exactly, but it's like never criticize never like go through your material critically in the same space that you're like practicing it.
Oh, got you. Yeah. Okay, cool.
All right, that was my number 2, and number 3 is Long Story Short, The Only Storytelling Guide You'll Ever Need by Margot Lightman.
Cool.
Little story about this this book. I listened to it, then I bought it and I read it.
Nice.
And then I did classes at UCB, and she's the storytelling teacher at UCB in LA.
Yeah.
And I got to meet her right after reading this book.
Oh my God, how
cool
is that?
For the second time, and I told her that whole thing, and she was just like, "Oh my God!" I was just like such a big fan, and it was like so crazy. It was like one of those moments. I was just like, I know it's not. It's like, and she was so sweet. She was awesome. I met her at, she did the story for Herald or whatever.
Oh,
is it a Herald?
What is it the Armando thing?
Armando.
The monologuist?
She was the monologist at one of the shows. And
so I went to her afterwards. That's awesome. I was
like, oh my God, I love your book. It's so good.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That's cool.
And I wanted to take her class, but I couldn't because her class was like, they didn't have like a short version of it.
Oh, yeah,
only
the
long one. So. This, yes, it's a storytelling book.
Okay.
It's about storytelling, but it is absolutely, I mean, like, she's a teacher at UCB. Like, there's a Matt Besser thing on the back.
Long story short is a great book.
Yeah. It says, Margot always delivers. I don't know if I got that right.
Me neither, but it's fun to try.
Okay, so the my favorite takeaway, and
Yeah.
I totally forgot until this afternoon when I was just kind of reviewing this book, because I was like, there's so many great things. Okay, first one is somewhere in this book. It says she started to change. It changed her life when she started approaching things from a place of when you're nervous about doing something or trying to decide if you should do it or not.
Yeah.
It's like being like, it's going to be a good time or a good story.
Oh, nice one.
And that just really helped her get out of her shell and like do more things. And
Yeah.
I have to remind myself that all the time. Like if there's something I don't really want to do, I'm like, well, it's either going to be a good time or horrible, and it's going to be a great story.
I
you
like
know?
that. Yeah, both positives.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
But the other one is the truth in comedy. There's a whole chapter about truth, and I realized that's where I got my whole high horse truth thing that I say all the time.
Okay, yeah. Say it. What, you have to be honest. What is your high horse thing?
Just being honest is always. And so like I was going through, and the truth is interesting enough. It is. You don't have to embellish.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to add things to make it more interesting. It's such a mistake.
Yeah.
The truth is, because sometimes when you embellish those things, it makes it unbelievable.
Yeah.
And if there is something unbelievable that did happen, that's a lot of fun to be like, no, this really happened.
Yeah, cool.
And you've said it to me when you're like, when I'm stuck on a bit and I'm like, oh, it's because I'm fabricating. And as soon as I start fabricating it, I really feel like people just know when you're lying.
Yeah.
And, or if they kind of start to not trust you.
Yeah.
In what you're saying, and it feels weird and slimy and gross. But if you're being genuine and honest, you know, like it creates comedy where, you know, where sometimes the truth, sometimes the being cool and whatever is it's a lie and it's not interesting.
Yeah. Like you're not being vulnerable to the audience, so why should they make sudden noises with their bodies like and be vulnerable back at you if you're kind of
like, this is a weird example of a thing. So I went to a Portugal the Man concert recently,
nice. That's awesome.
and I really like this band. But they always do this thing before any of their concerts where they have and I'm about to not be the hero in what I'm about to do. But they always do this whole thing where they have like some native people speak, and it is cool.
Oh, okay.
But it also bothered me because I was just like, I'm here to listen to music, not feel bad about stolen lands.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I was
do.
talking to somebody, and they were like, you know what I really... Yeah, and something that I really like about this band is they always bring light to these issues that nobody's talking about. And I'm just like, I hated that part.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was there to feel good.
Yeah.
Not like, it's like, I also can't buy a house. I get it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I don't want to feel bad. I want to just listen to music.
Right. Yeah, you
I don't
pay
wanna feel
for a specific
guilty.
experience. Yeah, and that shit's real, but it does feel like we're in the beginning stages of how to effectively communicate that in an effective way where there's action behind it. Because right now it's really awkward. It's like, hey, we're on stolen land. Enjoy this.
Enjoy
it's like,
this
wait,
thing.
that's
It's like...
you just ripped something open with no resolution.
Right. They're like, okay, now enjoy this band on the stolen land.
Right.
And it was just like, that wasn't... It's like, while we have your attention, I want to make you feel really uncomfortable.
Right.
All right. I mean, it's almost like being like, all right, can we get a moment of silence before the comedy show starts for someone who'd recently died?
Yeah.
And it's just like, way to really just kill the energy. Because we're like, as comedians, we're all about like, how do you set up the energy?
Yeah.
And they are taking energy that's already there, the anticipation, everyone's excited to see this band and listen to this music. And like, and just, I don't know, forcing it is that like agenda thing or whatever, and I just don't like it on any side of it. And I mean, I understand they're using their platform for good, but
which
really,
is great.
how much change is happening?
None. However,
we're all gonna go back into our cars that are parked in a field.
Right.
Right.
That you park. You have
like
to
hundreds of cars because there is no public transit out to there.
No, there's one bus, but it's not convenient if you don't live in Gresham. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're not in Troutdale.
Right. Already in Troutdale. Yeah. Now I do also humbly accept that I'm completely ignorant to that reality of having your land stolen. But also, it's the way it's done is, as far as comedy goes, that is something we strive to avoid or not do, which is halt the energy when there's good vibes going on. Yeah.
Right. Like everyone was just like, there was an opening band, and then it's just kind of like, I mean, I guess you kind of, if you put those little pain points, now I'm like just dissecting it. Like, I guess you put those little pain points in a place where people are like, but it just felt weird. And so I was just riffing on it. Someone was like, oh, I love that they do that. And I was like, fuck that. I hate that. That is funnier because it's relatable. And nobody wants to admit that. Yeah. Because that's my truth. Right. Like, and I'm not saying that I don't believe in that. Right. This little land was stolen. And right. What I'm saying is I don't want to think about that right now. You know? Yeah. Like, hey, I know all you guys probably have some dead grandmas out there. Think about them. Yeah. All right. You guys ready to rock and roll? Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That turnaround. It's like you just created a switch back up a mountain. Maybe curve that out a little bit. Show us some steps between the dead grandmas and the rock and roll. Yeah. And then I just got angry at the people in front of me. Like, you probably stole the land. And then we're all tall in front of me. Yeah, and you're tall. Yeah. Like, that might displace anger. Yeah, totally. From the opening. Yeah. No, I respect. It's a legitimate thought to hate that they did that. Yeah. And following that and making it funny, that's great. Also, now I've now talked about this like so many times. It's working. Yeah. I am spreading. Oh yeah, right. It's like there are reminders, yeah. So it's like I don't know. Yeah. But my point being, saying the true, if I had just been like, oh yeah, it's so great that they do that. Right. Boring. And, who cares? Right. There's unspoken tension in the air because you haven't. Everyone's thinking, right. It kind of sucks. I hate when they make me feel guilty before the show starts. Right. And calling the truth to that is it's more interesting. The truth is more interesting. It's more funny. It feels and it rings truer. Yeah. You know, because I'm even skeptical of the person that's like, oh, I love how they bring light to issues before their concert starts. Yeah. Do you? Yeah. Or do you feel like that's what you're supposed to say? Right. Right. And I'm not afraid to look like an idiot. Right. Yeah. Well, good for you. No. Well, we all are. I'm a big dum-dum. But I was just listening to the Alan Arkin autobiography, and he was matter of fact about it. He's like, I realized audiences were just saying they like things because that's what you were supposed to do, and they wanted to fit in with the scene and be hip. It had nothing to do with what they genuinely connected with. And I'm like, oh, that's why is it you could see that, and that you're unafraid of saying, hey, from the inside, this is all a facade, it's bullshit. Like, do what you want to do. Yeah. Yeah. So that was my third. That's awesome. That was good my list. Third book. And I have it. Thank you so much for listening. Please like and subscribe. Follow us on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you've got a friend that wants to start doing stand-up comedy, drop a link and tell them about our podcast. And we're live on IG at Dueling Beardos. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Dueling Beardos. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks. Bye.
I tell you people, I'm on a different level.
Adios, muchachos.